For fans of historical reenactment and drunken hijinks, few shows in the 2010s were more entertaining than Drunk History. As wild as it was, the producers had a handful of rules in place to make sure things didn't go completely off the rails. While the narrators who recited their drunk history tales were encouraged to do exactly as the title of the show says, get drunk, the show's actors had to remain stone cold sober. Theoretically, one could have taken a secret swig from a hidden flask on set, but matching lip movements to the timing of a drunk person requires a high level of sobriety. It's this exact mismatch of sober and drunk and orchestrated and improvised that helped make the whole show work. Not that there weren't some alcohol-related nuances to actors' performances. There was a real behind-the-scenes craft to Drunk History, which followed much more of a structured formula than folks might realize. In an evaluation of actors acting drunk in various movies for Fast Company, showrunner Derek Waters revealed what he believes is the secret to the craft, saying, "When someone is pretending to be drunk, the goal should be to pretend to be a drunk person trying to be sober." In other words, the goal was realism, not hamming it up. As for when actors could drink, and Waters' take on the relationship between alcohol and creative ventures in general, he reckoned alcohol should come last. He elaborated, "Alcohol is nice to celebrate when you finish your vision. It should be the ending, not the beginning." While the actors of Drunk History got to have fun in front of the camera and draw viewers to the show, nothing would have worked without the narrators bringing the show's stories to life. Naturally, the narrators had to get plastered, but there were a whole lot of alcohol-related guidelines in place to steer things in the right direction. First off, narrators were encouraged to avoid alcohol that makes them sick. Hangovers were all but guaranteed, as it typically took 5 to 6 hours of footage to condense things into a little 10-minute skit. Sometimes, no matter the quality of the narrator or their telling of a tale, folks got irate or annoyed that they couldn't remember things well. This meant that Waters often got an apologetic email on the second day of filming, as he told Esquire, on top of the hangovers.
"You're insane."
Yeah, we should have just sipped that.
Whew.
Ready?
Okay, buddy.
In order to make things smooth and not make narrators feel exploited, Waters drank alongside them. They took breaks, filmed in their own homes, and had medics on standby just in case. But regardless of all the caveats, drunkenness was still the rule of the day. While certain Drunk History actors were naturally funnier than others and lent a comedic element to scenes, the show worked best when actors actually acted, just not too much. As showrunner Derek Waters said to Esquire, the sneaky purpose of the show was always to educate as well as entertain. As he put it, if you humanize historical figures, making things relatable, then you have people's attention. And if you can make people laugh, I think you can do a lot of things. I always say the comedy of the show is that they're drunk, but we're trying as hard as we can to make a real history show. The brunt of the comedy in Drunk History naturally stems from the narrator's drunkenness, but in order for this comedy to come out, actors had to tell a largely straight-faced story. They had to keep faithful to the narration and not distract from it. Take Season 3, Episode 4 of Drunk History, featuring Academy Award-winning actor Octavia Spencer as legendary Underground Railroad figure Harriet Tubman. Narrated by comedian Crystal West, this segment talked about a serious topic worthy of serious consideration. Real history, in other words. Spencer added some comedic inflection to her performance, but she still made sure that it was more reminiscent of a biopic like Hidden Figures than something truly unhinged like Ma.
Harriet Tubman was like, "Damn, I freed 750 slaves. Like, this was dope as hell."
Next up is another rule that might seem like a no-brainer. Tell an actual story. Anybody can rattle off facts about a historical event and sift through handfuls of tedious terms and dates, but that kind of approach often leaves people cold. This is why Drunk History worked. Regardless of the alcohol, it was something closer to fireside storytelling than a lecture. In order to tell a story, Derek Waters had to play a careful game with each narrator. He was very selective about his orators. He knew most of them before he reached out to them, and was familiar with what kind of stories they'd gravitate towards. He'd hone in on people who were comfortable on camera and who were a combination of smart and charismatic. The latter was particularly critical, as sometimes alcohol makes people unlikable. Narrators had to tell a true story with a beginning, middle, and end, and they would be given weeks to prepare on the topic they were assigned. This whole setup worked thanks to Drunk History's secret ingredient, Waters himself, who guided the whole storytelling process. He joked to Vox, "I guess I'm a drunk whisperer in a way, drinking with them and knowing what to say and what not to say." The comedy of Drunk History hinged on the show's stars lip-syncing narrators as closely as possible. If this didn't happen, and a narrator's words didn't look like they were coming from the actor on screen, then the series wouldn't have worked. It's the weird, drunk rhythm of speech that made the actor's delivery of lines funny. And arguably, it's those actors who lip-synced as closely as possible who were most successful in their roles. Take Evan Rachel Wood. She played Mary Shelley, author of the groundbreaking 1818 book Frankenstein. Wood's Season 6, Episode 1 portrayal of Shelley is largely lauded as one of the show's finest performances because her lip-syncing is so spot on, even when Rich Fulcher's narration is slurred and unpredictable.
Oh! I have my story! You amazing puppet!
While we don't know how much practice Wood got, it would definitely take the average person some serious hours to land those lip-synced lines.